good day, good evening, good morning, maybe depending on what part of the world you are. I just want to welcome everybody warmly to our Ubuntu, a global dialogue with Africa. And this is something that we are doing under the auspices of Osiri University. Today, we want to have another conversation with our guest Malamais. I will be introducing them shortly, and we'll be asking a couple of questions. The topic that we'll be considering today is tourism and business marketing in Africa. So it's a 1 hour, I think now less than an hour conversation that we'll be having today. The first person I would want to introduce is Dr. Ikechi Agbugba. Dr. Ikechi Agbugba has got, he's kind of varied in terms of his educational experience. His core is agricultural economics, and he's been studying this since June 1991 when he first had his first school at Living Certificate. And he's got a number of academic qualification. Amongst so many, I would just mention a few, is a postdoctoral research fellowship with the Agricultural Research Council, a collaboration on smallholder development, and this is focused on agricultural economics. He's also got a PhD in agricultural economics. And amongst his, varied experience, being a lecturer, being a head of business development and human resources, he's also the CEO advisor and also consultant at Elimo Enterprises. So he's kind of very experienced. He's a Malamai with our, prestigious institution and also part of our leadership team. The second person I want to introduce is Paul Womango. I hope I pronounced that right. Did I pronounce that right, Paul? That's Paul today. Yes. So Paul is...
Yes, Paul Womango.
Paul Womango. Yes, that's the name. So today we just want to have a conversation with these two people. Paul has got a vast experience in the tourism space. So he's been doing this for a very long time. He's currently a general manager with one of the hotels in Kampala in Uganda. It's the Imperial Royal Hotel. And before this, he's also held varied positions in different hotels up to now. So it's very experienced in terms of the tourism space. So we just want to have a conversation today. So welcome, Paul Womango and Dr. Ikechi Agbugba. Welcome again.
Okay.
Yes. Today I will be co-hosting this event with my, adorable colleague, Dr. Adrian Muldrow. So we'll be doing this together. Now, I will just start off with the first question, which is, in designing your course, because both of you have designed the courses for Osiri University, please tell us, what did you consider whilst designing this course? Yes, either you, Dr. Ikechi, or Paul. Any of you can go first.
Okay, maybe I will start. In designing my course content, I looked at the need of Africa, because Africa's economic transformation is actually at its core stage. That is the transformation. It's happening, it's ongoing now. And with respect to businesses, not just businesses, also from an agribusiness point of view, that Africa is endowed with resources, not just from the agri sector, but also from the oil and gas sectors. And over time, Africa has not done well when it comes to marketing of those produces or products. And yes, my course content is business marketing. And how can we market these commodities which we produce in Africa? How can we be engaged in processing, in adding value to them, so that we can be able to be part of this economy-wide growth? And So I looked at this timely stage of Africa to experience economic transformation. So, but when we are involved in adding value, which is, of course, we have to be engaged in business. We have to be engaged in marketing. How do we market those products from where we produce them, from the industries, from the factories, and from the farms as well? So how are we able to do the segmenting? We now target our markets, and then we position, and then of course we branding. So an Africa is needs to be rebranded. So I think I'll stop here for now.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Agbugba. Paul, please, the same question applies to you. Whilst designing the course, what exactly did you consider? I mean, in practical terms, please, tell us.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, the August. I do appreciate. Am I clear outside?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Okay, just wanted to be in the back of my mind in designing this course, tourism planning and development. Is one that I've spent in the industry of tourism and hospitality. It's experience over 20 years, and I've had a path sustain, continue running in this industry for such a longer period. And along the way, I saw my eyes opened up, and I was able to see the need of us realizing and recognizing the tourism product, one of the recreative products that apparently has been embraced and spearheaded by the West. And yet we discovered that almost 75% of it, this product is in Africa. So what is the back of my mind is designing this, sharing these concepts, teaching them to the students, to the learners, to be able to understand how to plan for the local, national, and global tourism, to be able to tap into a resource that seems to have been seen by a few, and yet these people will end up working for them. The Indian is to see the key stakeholders in this industry, because we on the ground, people are running, they are working, they are attending to clients, they are attending to tourists, but they don't know the key stakeholders. And my idea is once they grab, they're able to understand the key stakeholders behind the tourism development, then only will they be able to put up, to be able to also explore and develop the same product which will benefit them. Then the other one is, I decided the learners be able to recognize the importance of community participation in tourism planning and development, and then also issues such as global warming, environmental deterioration and such. Then also at the end of it is, of course, I want to see them design the business plan towards establishing their own business along the same field of tourism, start and manage their own tour companies. Thank you. That's it for now.
All right.
Sorry, thank you, Paul. I think you were breaking up at some point. You might want to check that going forward. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opening statement. Over to you, Dr. Boudreau.
Thank you. Those were both excellent responses. So along the lines of course design, I want to take us to a time long, long ago and ask both of you, what got you interested in your subject areas? Because both agriculture and tourism are very important businesses for Africa. So what got you interested in your area of study? And what gave you the confidence to know that you'd be excellent instructors in that area? So, Paul, I want to start off with you.
That's for Paul or Doctor?
Paul, please.
Oh, Paul. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. What gave me the confidence that yes, when I designed this product, when I designed this course, I am going to objectives. One is the period that I've spent in the industry, the experience that I have. Then two, this is the tourism zone. I'm a resident in a tourism zone. Being a resident in a tourism zone, I've encountered it. I've encountered various scenarios that have driven me of this product is that has not been fully tapped. It's untapped resource. It's untapped resource. So given what I've put down and rolling it out to the students, I believe at the end of it, I am going to get the people that I will be able to embrace the industry, make use of it, and I'll develop change agents out of there, and I'll be able to achieve the objective of exploiting this resource.
All right, great. Thank you. Excellent answer. Dr. Ikechi, what got you interested into your subject area and to give you the confidence to know that you would be able to be a great instructor?
Thank you for that question. I will start by saying that, of course, with respect to my experience from the university, from my PhD, I actually delved into agribusiness and marketing in my PhD. So I have experience with research and also hands-on experience with the places I've worked. I happen to be an advisor for agric sector development for Canada Africa Network, that is Africa Trade Action Group. And this group is focuses on trying to find countries of Africa that are, excelling or have comparative advantage over other countries in those produces that they produce. And of course, we know that production is not complete except it gets to the final consumer. So still marketing businesses is still part of production. And I have these experiences in line with some of our cash crops and some of our products from cash crops like cocoa that we are doing well in Africa, is excelling in it. And I have studied that value chain very well. And we have, my research team, we have found out that Africa has potentials to generate and also wield a lot of profits from its production. But the producers here are not excelling. Now, let us also talk about Africa's potentialities. The potentialities of Africa, which is like, is not just like, it's a home of varieties of produce. We are endowed with resources. Like I said earlier, it's not just from agriculture. We have oil. We have talents. And we need to market these talents. We need to market these products properly. We need to rebrand Africa with that. So what do we need to do? So that means technology has to come in. Some sort of energy with respect to, because this is like a fight. It's like a fight, and who will produce and market, who will be the leader. So thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, definitely. And you have a competitive spirit just like me, which is Olga of business here. So thank you. So what I think I heard both of you say is this is just not an academic pursuit or about giving instruction or telling people, but this is what you really do outside of the academics as well, that you really want people to learn and grow in your area. So very good. Okay. Dr. Amaranche.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Adrian. Now, drawing from what you both have said, considering the fact that, just like you highlighted and my colleague have said, you've got wealth of experience and you've got passion to do what you're doing. Now, considering that this mode of delivery in terms of what we're doing at Osiri University is slightly very different in terms of it's more virtual. So what appropriate instructional strategies do you think you're embedding or have you embedded in your course? So if you can tell us the instructional, strategies and, how ways you're going to engage with the students, to make sure that you pass on this wealth of experience that you've got. So Dr. Paul, I'll start with you, Paul.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll achieve. Thank you for Dr. I'm sure it's soon coming. I'll achieve it. Thank you so much. Now, we have the strategy that I've undertaken is one. The students will have, I've got study material that are available online. They study the material the student be able to read in form of articles, in form of videos, and I've got case studies. Then also, I'll be involving the students in the discussion that will be almost virtual, but in nature, they'll be almost face-to-face. So we'll create a virtual via Zoom or also WhatsApp so that we'll be able to get in, link up with the students and take that like a form of workshops so that they're able to visualize each other and understand the concepts together, brainstorming, not a matter of just tossing a topic. After they've read, we'll be able to follow up with a discussion. Then they'll be assessed the depth of the knowledge. Then, of course, I'll start with some video from the beginning. We'll have some video so that they see each other face to face, and also get to see me and know me. Then at the end, of course, I also conclude with another video. And out of there, we will be able to put the concepts together and roll them out into practice.
Okay, so you spoke a lot in terms of virtual. So how do you intend to engage with students who have got limitation in terms of accessing internet facility? So you've got all of these contents rolled out on the platform. How do you expect to engage them? How do you expect to, get them going in terms of the conversations that you're putting out there on the platform?
Doctor, what I've done, the first thing I've supplied now, my email, Gmail, available to them, it's available to students. And then they could get in the form of WhatsApp, SMSs, and phone call at a particular time that we'll agree upon to receive the communication and tailor the training. And then also, of course, emails, it's mainly virtual, but of course we'll mix with calls and video calls that, of course, presently, almost everybody has made virtual life like what is part of life now.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your response. Dr. Agbugba, same question.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I can start by saying that my course is business marketing, as we all know, and it's quite interesting. And it has an intrinsic value. I call it intrinsic value because in it is everyday life. We engage in buying and selling activities, especially the buying side. Even if you don't sell, you have to buy. And so I plan to engage my students, or rather I have laid it out in such a way that there are case studies of not just companies. There are some individuals who have also done well in their businesses. And how will they do well how can one do well in his own businesses? They will know by after production what happens. How were they able to segment their markets? How were they able to target their markets? And how were they able to create an emotional bonding with whatever that they are producing? So they will all, get attuned with the case studies, because it's part, like I said, it's part of their life. Like this morning, I picked up my toothpaste and I was asking myself, why do you even use this toothpaste? I remember I was emotionally attached to Close-Up, but now I'm using Sensodyne. Why? I had to read those things, and I saw that this, not just that it's properly marketed, but what it gives, what does the product offer? So, then after that, I had to, I thought of giving them some, like I said, case studies, and I have those links laid out for them. I have them articulated in such a way that it will not be difficult for them, because I'm also considering the fact that there are network issues and costs of getting these materials as well. And so there are also proverbs, African proverbs that can also interest them and make them to take home whatever that is being given to them. And I also did it in such a way that it should be participatory. And then, of course, my email address is there, my phone contact is there. And
No, thank you so much for the detail that you have actually put out, Paul and Dr. Ikechi. You also, by default, every one of us are, business marketers, but we don't realize it. And it's kind of very interesting because some of the things that we do take for granted. So thank you. Thank you for elucidating that. Dr. Adrian.
Great, thank you. Now that we know about Dr. Agbugba and his Sensodyne toothpaste here, thank you for enlightening us. I want to segue to bigger things within course design. So we know at Osiri University, we're not just here for rote instruction, memorizing, but we really want to impact Africa. So what things do you have in your course design that would help the students really develop the economic growth that is so important for Africa moving forward? So what parts of your course design speak to the business prowess yet untapped in Africa? So Dr. Agbugba, if you want to go first.
Yes, I will. How do you know? Oh, thank you so much for that question. The question, the course context is not just like the other business marketing texts that I've been reading since my master's degree in over close to 20 years now. When I started my master's degree, I was reading Philip Kotler. I reckon that some other economists and marketing experts have also developed those course outlines. But what is actually striking about my course is that it goes striking and detailed to business marketing, in the sense that it starts with segmenting. What is segmenting of markets? And then it's like a chain. segmenting, targeting, and then positioning. And after positioning, what next? What is the objective of these three points in the chain of a business marketing module? And then brand and brand equity comes in. So I will start by talking about marketing segments. Like Dr. Amara said, with respect to our everyday activities, we don't realize that we market ourselves. And segmenting has to do with trying to process your target audience, your target market. You process them with respect to their demographic, psychographic, or behavioral, or even geographic. And of course, the demographic has to do with the age, the gender, the income. And psychographic is just like the personality traits, values, attitudes, and then the behavioral, like purchasing and spending habits of people. And we know that some people are glued to these things, and so they are segmented in that manner. And then, what of the targeting? We have to target our markets. Who are we targeting? So, and that is where the 4 P's of marketing comes in. There are about 7, but the 4, that is product, first of all. After the product, the pricing of the product. After the pricing of the product, the place. And after the place, promotion. Promotional activities have to come in because they are, that is where you can find branding. And branding comes in. What is branding actually? The price tag. What is price tag? The logo. What is logo? Logo has to do with branding. What do you give to that? What all those, we see some of those like Apple. Why am I consuming Apple? Why am I not using Samsung? Why am I not using this other one's social media device also? I was also brainstorming about the movie industry, Nigeria's movie industry. When I was in South Africa, my students always, because they know I'm Nigerian, and they always, joked with Nigerian movies, and I was shocked that they watch Nigerian movies a lot. And I know that Nigerian movies contribute meaningfully to the gross domestic product of Nigeria.
As you restated the question, you want us to go deeper exactly now what I have down for the students and how I'll be able to teach. One, I'll ensure they'll understand the definition of tourism, the associated vocabularies that students need to understand. For example, they'll be able to understand who a tourist is. They'll be able to understand tourism systems. We'll be able to show them what are the resources in tourism. What are the attractions? They'll be able to understand the attractions. They'll be able to know what are destinations. When they talk of a destination, what do they mean? Are some of them sitting in the destination areas? Or maybe even there closer to their garden, could say destination for tourism. They'll be able to understand tourism demand. That's when we try to bring in the economic part of tourism. They need to understand the demand and the supply of tourism. They'll be able to understand the history of tourism. We very well know that hospitality and tourism, it is traced back in the Bible. The greatest hospitality was exhibited by the Africans in Egypt when Abraham went. food, and then followed by the sale of Jacob, and later the entire Israel, tracing back the history, and of course also to tourism and those glory of Africa. So the tie on the concept within the continent. Yeah, key example given from the.
I think he's breaking off a bit. Paul, can you hear us? We've lost you.
Come back.
Oh no, we're not lost him completely.
Okay. Dr. Agbugba, you were finishing your answer. It almost felt like I was back in marketing class when you started talking about segmentation, positioning, the 4 Ps. So I know you're going to have an awesome class here with us. While we're waiting on Paul, did you want to finish your thought? We'll get back to Paul and we will move on. So any ending thoughts very shortly about designing your course for Africa's economic future?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, I wanted to say that we are in business, or anyone who wants to venture into business, maybe career or maybe aside, just he or she should be able to ask himself the questions: who are my customers? Who are my competitors in that particular venture? And then what is the produce or even service actually? Who am I directly, and what can it offer? The content, not just the packaging. Yeah, so that's by the way. And now, like I said, with respect to Africa, that Africa has suddenly become an important continent, the most important continent in the whole world. I will not rest, because of investors from all over the world coming to Africa to invest. They want to invest in their agriculture sector. They want to invest also in technology, because we are in an era of 4th industrial revolution, where we have all artificial intelligence and drones and all that we have seen and experienced. And now, with respect to the course that I am teaching, how relevant will it be in Africa? Of course, I said Africa that has become important has to be rebranded. We must have to industrialize, encourage even the small and medium scale enterprises. The small and medium scale enterprises, they are also businesses. And they need to understand that markets has to be segmented. Like I mentioned about trying to segment the markets, that is trying to, like I explained, that you have to segment it in such a way that you take into consideration their geographical location, their address, where are they situated? And then you now talk about their demographic, the age, their sex, because there are some products, most products are associated with that. All this, and then the psychographic, like I said earlier, about the personality traits. And then now in Africa, since we are blessed with these resources, we have to channel them. We have to prepare plans, strategies on how to make our produce, make our services. Like we are blessed with like I mentioned it before, the movie industry. How were we able to brand? Over time, we were able to brand. We have our own branding, yes, we have their own logo. And they went into the cultural aspects of most of the African communities to get, like I am dressed in an African way. Like, even the food and delicacies, even their costumes, that, and then the folklores, the type of music, all these things comes into play as well.
All right.
And all that is what to get into profit maximization. And also,
great. Thank you for making us aware of everything, because I do know, even with agricultural products, that doing some segmentations are very profitable, because even multinationals like Starbucks wants to take advantage of the land in Africa. And because there's so much commodification of different types of things like cocoa and coffee, they're sort of able to take advantage of that for themselves, but not repatriate the profits back to African farmers. So that's a big issue. One that we don't have time for today, but we'll have time for at a later time. Paul, would you like to finish? You were breaking up a little bit. We were just finishing up very shortly about your course in economic development for Africa. Yes. Did you have any parting words?
Yes. Sorry, I had a bit of internet. So it's clear there? You hear me, Doctor?
Yes.
Yes. So the economic point of view is, of course, I was sharing a bit of first the history and the African history. Then we looked at the explaining the economic point of view here. Tourism is a backbone of the African economies. There's a great potential.
He's gone again.
But he was saying something profound before he left. Yes.
I know. Okay, whilst we wait for him to come back, I would just want to ask Dr. Ikechi, because whilst he was talking to you, Dr. Adrian, he was highlighting some of the challenges. And I just want to ask him now, because I know he touched on a few of them. What are the challenges that Africa is facing currently with business marketing? So if you could tell us what are the challenges now, and how can we navigate ourselves away, or maybe not away, but how can we manage it?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Well, of course, it's no longer news that Africa is grappling with food insecurity. Africa is grappling with poverty. Africa is grappling with lots of issues. And with these issues on ground, we must have to also try and encourage people who are into. I think your question is in line with my students, or can you rehearse it again?
Okay. I mean, you touched on, whilst you were discussing the economic issues, you touched on some of the challenges, of which you highlighted the economic side. But are there other challenges that Africa is facing or is faced with currently with respect to business marketing?
Oh, yes, of course. As I said earlier on, that Africa is comprised of a lot of cultural diversities of culture, diversities in also produce. Like, of course, we know that West Africa is a region. SADC, that's South African Development Community countries, is also a region. Also, Eastern Africa is a region, and it's not easy to break into the markets of these regions. With respect, of course, we know about African Free Continental Trade Agreements, and all these agreements can hinder or sever our connection with other regions with respect to what we produce that you don't produce, like our neighboring country. And sometimes government comes in to ban importation of rice, and people are so emotionally bonded to foreign rice, as we call them, as we call it. And so we want to encourage local consumption of rice. And persons are going here and there to make sure that these things are there, that there is free trade or free regional trade agreements between the regions. And also, we have also had, we are into the pandemic period. There were lots of people who could not access food, some food items and some other personal effect items, commodity items, services that they used to get, at their doorpost was not easy again to get by. So now virtual buying remotely, buying things remotely, and even for services are now, it's now getting, popular.
Yes,
or
indeed.
gaining ground.
Yes, it's gaining ground. Sorry to put you in this position, Dr. Ikechi. You seem to be on a hot seat, and that's because Paul's network is very unstable. So right now we'll be firing all the questions at you. I hope you don't mind.
No problem.
So, Dr. Ikechi.
Get ready for it. This comes from our audience. You were talking earlier about Africa being ripe for quote unquote investors. So our audience wants to know, are you speaking of investors, or are these so-called investors coming to exploit Africa once again? So what is your opinion on the matter? Are they investors or exploiters?
Thank you for that question. It's actually, of course, it has to be a win-win situation and no longer business as usual. When we experienced the exploiters, like I had mentioned before, that the foreign people from Europe, those from Asia, those from America, we are friends. We are created to engage in business activity, but we need to also have to develop a plan, strategy, like I mentioned in some of these international networking volunteer organizations where I work. We have a framework that we use to encourage investors. So Africa is investable, and they are actually coming. Lots of Israelis are on ground. They are in Ghana already, and lots of Israelis are in Eastern Africa. Israelis, and not just them, the Italians, the Dutch,
and the Chinese are here too, right?
Chinese, and how they go about it is that they come in with so much interventions, and their interventions are actually very mouth-watering interventions in such a way that we are those that are on ground have to benefit, and when they benefit, also they will be able to also benefit from us, because we have comparative advantage over them in by virtue of the resource endowments that we have. Like, do you know in South Africa produced a lot of maize, and South Africa serviced all those countries of SADC region, like Botswana, Rwanda, Zambia, Lesotho, Namibia. And I tell you, some of those countries are getting desertified, and South Africa is clamoring for more water. So climate change issues also comes in with respect to that area. So let me not quote.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, another question, a follow-up question from what you've just been asked. So you are emphasizing the fact that these are investors, right? Now, what this person is saying is, if they are investors, are we Africans ready and prepared?
I will say that partly we are ready and partly we are not ready.
Okay.
Okay, do you want me to go further?
Yes, sure.
Yes, you're our guest.
Oh, why I said that we are ready is that there are many collaborators waiting. There are many collaborators, people that have even studied some courses like medicine, engineering. They are now saying, okay, we need to get into the mainstream of the production sector, and of course agriculture. I am, I seem to be getting to talk about more of agriculture because of maybe my area. So just permit me for doing that. And I'm doing that because, Africa is also very ripe for agricultural transformation. And also, Africa's economy is getting transformed through the agriculture sector already. So there are the smallholder farmers who are majorly those farmers that are the major those that practice agriculture in the entire Africa. And since there are so much, they are clamoring for interventions. How do you get into intervene for them? You help them to with maybe one input or the other, because the prices of some of the inputs are so expensive, and also technology, like I mentioned, that a technologically driven production or agriculture is what will welcome a lot of investors. And our youths and our women, who are the major players in it, engage in production, and then it will create more jobs. It will create more jobs. And then for the issue of integrating, it's very necessary that we engage in these activities for better and proper integration.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. We have another question from the audience. And this one comes from somebody who's very knowledgeable about agricultural supply chains. So they want to know, considering the fact that we are in the 21st century, are cooperatives still relevant in the agricultural sector?
Yes, cooperatives are very important in cooperative agriculture, in Africa's agriculture, but sadly, lots of farmers are running away from forming cooperatives because of the commitment involved. Commitment involved in the sense that you have to, draw your resources. We have to pull them together in order for us to have, a free and a flow in our communication, in our cooperative, in our unions, in our association. And it's very important. So there are very few cooperatives now. While I was in the US 2 years back, I was told by one of the colleagues I met at Tuskegee, he said, if you want to stay in America, you have to join the cooperative group of trainers, because we are clamoring for cooperatives a lot here. And I returned back to Nigeria, and I was telling some of the farmers and even some of my students, and I kept telling them that it is high time that we encourage our associations to form cooperatives, because forming cooperatives will help to get interventions from not just from the government, from the international communities. Because one would chase 1,000, but two more would chase thousands. So how can you be one and you are suffering all the uncertainties? I mean, we are talking about production. We are talking about business marketing. We are talking about partnering. We are talking about coming together and trying to earn a living, create more livelihoods, make a living, and also not just for ourselves, for our communities. And of course, it will definitely trickle down to helping to minimize poverty to a great extent, and food will be secured. So that's actually very important question now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was from one of your colleagues, so very well said. Dr. Amarachi.
Okay, this is a question actually for Paul, but Paul isn't here. But I would ask you, Dr. Ikechi, you might have, some insight to this, and you might want to shed some light on this. What can be done to arouse the interest of African government in the tourism sector? This person is saying that I ask because it appears as if their interest is not there at all, and the potential revenue or sources of revenue are missed. So I'm sure we have ideas. I mean, Adrian, you can lean into this conversation as well. So what do you think? Why do you think? What can be done to arouse the interest of Africans' government in this sector, tourism?
I'll let our guest go first.
Oh, okay. No problem. I can say that, of course, Africa, like from what Paul said earlier, Africa is, a place, a continent where tourism thrives, and we earn our foreign exchange, and our foreign exchange figures from it a lot. And of course, we have to be, the government has to come in, and also those researchers, the Forestry Research Institute. Tourism is also part. Has some is closely knitted with agriculture, like from the forestry aspect. Like we have some tourist centers here and there in Africa, and they are not being taken care of. They are not being well funded to it, especially those that maintain it, because there has to be a framework for sustainability. Then, of course, there are parastatals who are also like the Federal Ministry of Tourism. So they are all involved in it, archaeological and tourism sector. They are supposed to be empowered. So since they have seen to contribute meaningfully to transformation, so why wouldn't we invest in it? And of course, agriculture is embedded in it. So when we encourage it, it will yield greater dividends, more jobs, like I said, produce even food, and a lot of, and even raw materials for industries. So let me stop there because of time.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was a great answer. I'd like to echo what you had said about the governments not necessarily working together within it. I don't think it necessarily needs to be a tourism system per se. It still can be some chains of hospitality places. But with the boom of ecotourism, it seems like Africa would have taken better advantage of it. Now that stability and sustainability, ecotourism are starting to be big things, that maybe some segmentation needs to be done. Marketing needs to be done a little bit better, and the governments can help sustain tourism even on small levels to alleviate some poverty, because other countries have done some one-to-one Airbnb where people are staying at a home of somebody else, which then they don't have to be in poverty for that month because somebody else has come to give them money. So there's several sectors up and down that vertical supply chain and horizontally that can be used to better suit everyone. So last question, really short though, since you're on the hot seat, is for years I've been reading in my academic books about Africa and agriculture and how it's on the bottom of the food chain more for commodities, and then other people are there for refining the product and then selling it, which the money isn't in the commodities, it's up the supply chain a little bit further. Why hasn't Africa been able to take advantage of those more refined processes? So I think you're the perfect person to ask.
Yeah, thank you. It's just that we are not involved in value addition yet. Like I mentioned about cocoa, we produce cocoa. Our farmers produces the fruits of cocoa and those pods and pigs, and the foreigners come, they buy it very cheaply, and of course in the value chain, all those institutions that add value to the product cocoa, and they all add all the values. They are the ones that take the chunk of the profit. They are the ones that actually wield so much margins from it. So we need to be involved in value chain. We need to welcome the blessings of fourth industrial revolution, like I said earlier on. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Amarachi, do you want to give us the final goodbye?
Someone is just saying it's high time Africa started seeing agriculture as a business and not just a way of life.
I agree.
A lot of countries are actually harnessing this, and they're building their GDP per capita based on this. So thank you very much, Chika Ogechi, for that comment. I just want to say thank you to our two panelists. It's so sad that we lost Paul because he had so much to tell us. 20 years of experience, and we just got a little bit out of that. Dr. Ikechi Agbugba, we're thankful for you being here today and sharing with us from your wealth of experience as well, and also co-hosting with Adrian. I think it was fantastic. Thank you, Adrian, for coming. Also, I just want to say thank you to everyone. In the business of life, most times we do not have the space to actually have these conversations. And every week we get all these attendees coming on just to have this global dialogue with us. We don't take it for granted. We know you have lots of things to do with your Saturday, but you chose to have this dialogue with us. They say that little drops or little drips of water makes an ocean. And I'm sure that what we're doing now might seem very little, but definitely would add up in the coming years. So thank you so much for being a part of this with us. So, and we just say goodbye